Hello there, and today I'll be breaking down Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 2 Episode 3 tomorrow, but before we get into it, please subscribe to the channel so that YouTube will alert you to when we post our breakdowns of Strange New Worlds and other Star Trek series movies and news. Note that this video will conclude spoilers for the episode, so you've been warned. Okay, let's engage. So the episode starts out with La'an having to do a security check on the crew, and she then does a log. We then see her and M'Benga sparring, and M'Benga is able to knock her off her feet. She then wanders out into the hallway and encounters a time cop from the future who gives her a device that protects her from changes in the timeline. She then goes to the bridge to find Captain James T. Kirk in command of the Enterprise, and then a Vulcan ship contacts the Enterprise and it's Captain Spock, who requests for the humans to assist the Vulcans, but Kirk shuts that down, though it doesn't make sense for Spock to even exist since he's half human, and humans and Vulcans don't seem to be friends in this universe. But moving on, La'an and Kirk talk. She tries to convince him that what she is saying, that there's an alternate reality and that the timeline had been changed, but he doesn't believe her, and he tries to take the device but hits a button and sends them back to 21st century Earth, and this would be about 2030-ish when they arrive. Given this is set after Picard Season 2, and someone show up in the episode and his age telling us what year it is, and they look around. Kirk actually thinks that it's New York, but La'an corrects him saying that they're in Toronto, the biggest city in Canada, and we learn that Kirk in the alternate timeline, Kirk was born in space on the USS Iowa, and apparently all humans in the alternate future are born in space. They then go to a local shop and Kirk has some trouble getting through the revolving door, but then him and La'an get done clothes and they put on the same thing, but then Kirk goes back and changes his clothes, and then they realize that they need to pay, but then La'an takes an item and then puts it in a costumer's bag, and that person sounds off the alarm when they try to walk out. Kirk and La'an then realize they need money, so Kirk sees people betting on a 2D chess game and goes and plays it and wins all the money because he's used to 3D chess games, and he gets La'an and him a couple of hot dogs. And just watching the episode and making this video made me want hot dogs, so go get hot dogs. But back to the episode, some time passes and they are able to get a very fancy hotel. Oh, I wish that I was in this hotel, it is just so cool. But back to the episode, La'an isn't able to get any sleep and watches Kirk sleeps, but then comes morning and La'an is trying to remember everything that she can from history class, and when Kirk wakes up she tells him to do the same, but he doesn't want to because if he helps her makes sure that her timeline is the one that prevails, then his entire life the way he remembers it won't exist. But then he is willing to help her after she tells him that in her timeline Sam is alive, but it isn't before long that the bridge explodes and they somehow without transportation get to the site of the destruction of the bridge, and they realize that it was caused by someone from the future. Then someone takes the wreckage and then they steal a car and have some back and forth, and then they get pulled over by the police, but a woman comes up and persuades the cops to let them go, and she is a conspiracy theorist and thinks aliens are real. They are able to convince her to help them and they go out to eat, but then she shows Kirk and La'an the photos that she's captured, and Kirk realizes that there are Romulans influencing events, and then he tells La'an about this outside. But before that happens, the lady tells them that there's a reactor underneath them, and so they need a way to track the reactor, and they then travel to Vermont where Pelia is during this time, and La'an is able to get her to let them inside, and they need Pelia to help them build a tricorder, but Pelia hasn't learned any engineering skills yet, but she does have a watch that can glow when it gets near the reactor. They go back to Toronto and Kirk and La'an walk share a Romantic kiss and stumble on the facility. Noonin. Sing Lan is able to unlock the doors, but the conspiracy lady sneaks up on them and she's a Romulan, and after a standstill she shoots Kirk and kills him. She kills all the guards until they get to a room with the name Khan. She tells Lan that she's come back in time to kill Khan and make sure that the Federation is never created, and tells her that the device she has in her pocket allows her to not be affected by changes in the timeline, and then Lan kills her and meets her great-granddaddy Khan and tells him that he's right where he needs to be, and then she transports out back to the future, come up to the bridge, and the timeline is restored. She says hi to Pike and goes to her quarters and is visited by a jerk time cop, gets the device and is on her way, but then Lan video calls Prime Universe Kirk, and then after some questions ends the call and breaks down crying. Episode ends, and I'll see you guys next week. Live long and prosper, and damn you Khan.